Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Jim Valley, and I'm joined by my co-host, Scott Williams. Today, we're speaking with John Wahl, DAU's Learning Asset Regional Representative for the Source Selection Simulation, that are known as SSS, and this is a workshop number WSC 032. So welcome, John. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about the workshop, what is known as WSC 032, the Source Selection Simulation. As you noted, we just call it SSS, and it's found in the DAU iCatalog.
All right. Well, this is a great workshop. I have a lot of experience with it. So tell us, what is the excitement about this workshop?
Well, for starters, this is a very much a learner-led workshop, a simulated experience. The training simulation was designed to be an immersion into the source selection process. The focus is the use of FAR Part 15, contract by negotiation, using best value trade-off procedures. The simulation of the source selection process are all in accordance with the newly updated and issued by Defense Pricing and Contracting, the DFARS PGI Subpart 215.3 source selection, which is dated August 2022. I wanted to add, though, with regards to what's the excitement. So after 4 days, the participant will have participated in most of the activities of a routine source selection, thereby creating muscle memory to when they get into their upcoming source selection evaluation. And do note that this is a targeted training requested by the given agency for an upcoming agency solicitation with a source selection team.
Yeah, so John, I mean, as I've mentioned before, I have a lot of experience with the source selection simulation. I've worked with many teams, and what I have found personally is the teams get a lot out of this. They are way ahead of the curve. So they can start off producing great products. The big ones are the evaluation notices. And in many cases, I would go in when they're about to brief one of their main big briefings, and they would have over 100 ENs for each contractor. And you can only imagine how that can get complicated. And they did a fantastic job. And so far for our simulations, we haven't had one source selection protested even. Forget about being a sustained protest. They haven't even had any that have been protested. So what is your experience with your teams when it came to this SSS?
Well, I've done more than 30 of these simulations over the last 6 years here at DAU. These simulations and the folks that are attending come away with this, as I mentioned a moment ago, this muscle memory. It brings about efficiency. It brings about an understanding of cohesive teaming within the source selection evaluation team members. Everyone has a better appreciation for what their role and responsibility. They understand the sequence of events more clearly. And ultimately, they come away with documentation that can be defended. And that's the key here. When anybody submits a protest, did we do what we had asked and said we would do in our solicitation? Did we evaluate in accordance to what we told industry we would be doing? Continuing to maintain that trust.
Yes, I think that's very important. And another key factor is they have to work as a team, and they learn how to do that. They learn how each of them handles stress, because believe it or not, this simulation really does a great job of creating stress on the team, and they learn through that, and it makes them better when they do it for real. So I thought that was very beneficial. So any other thoughts on the SSS itself?
Well, I would say the SSS starts as you enter the source selection facility in this simulation, and it takes one through the Receipt of Offers Proposal. So that's when the simulation begins, in essence, from the receipt of proposals. Then it works through the competitive range briefings, interim ratings, and evaluation notice releases. Those ENs, the evaluation notice responses, then are received, and the request for final proposal revisions is discussed and then gone through that process in the simulation. It continues on to speak to the receipt of the final proposal revisions. Then ultimately in the simulation, a source selection authority decision is made and contract award and debriefing is discussed.
Yeah, so that is the source selection process, right? So they get an opportunity to go through that before they do it for real. So speak to the learning outcomes that come from this simulation.
Yeah, I started with stating that it's a learner-led, and the best learning comes from doing, and that's exactly what is happening within the simulation with those that participate. Each day, the majority of the time will be spent in hands-on exercises, mirroring the activities in a source selection, and using to the greatest extent possible the tools, forms, processes one would use in a source selection. In the last day, this is probably the most important part of the simulation. At the last day, the local contracting officer from the requested agency will serve as the source selection authority. And so they will then take the brief, they will probe, see that things are done in accordance to the simulated RFP, and challenge the thought process to what was found from the source selection evaluation board.
Outstanding. A great way to learn.
Yes, absolutely, John. I mean, this really sounds interesting with a lot of good information for folks that are working on a source selection. So I'm assuming that's our target audience for the workshop, correct?
Yes, Scott. Since the focus is on supporting a soon-to-be proposal evaluation team required to determine best value for awards using trade-off approach, the non-price factors, or AKA technical evaluation members, benefit the most from such training. In general, the entire source selection evaluation board is encouraged to participate in the simulation. And might I add, the best window of doing this training in this simulation is at the time they post their solicitation. Commercial, typically a 30-day window before the receipt of proposal. R&D, typically 45 window. In that time period is when to bring in the source selection evaluation membership to do that simulation prior to receipt of proposals. So when they actually get the proposals in, now they're already in step with each other within their counsel and their contracting officer to move out more smartly.
All right. So it sounds like this is a great workshop for these teams. So how are the students assessed in this workshop?
Great question. Thanks. Everybody wants to know how we're being assessed. Well, there's no, in essence, exam, but students are assessed on the morning of the first day to a pre-course assignment of reviewing the RFP. Each day's event or events in the source selection builds on another that ends with the source selection evaluation board compiling their findings in an evaluation narrative that will support the adjectival determination. Those findings will then be briefed by the evaluation team to their agency's source selection authority. During this 45-minute to an hour brief, the SSA presents questions to the SSEB, challenges the findings, pursues the facts of what the RFP asked, to what the offeror conveyed and how the RFP said we would evaluate the offeror. So in essence, they're being assessed from day one throughout the 4 days.
All right. Sounds good.
John, how is this training offered?
In person or virtually via MS Teams. And we leave that to the agency to determine what would be best.
Okay, very good. And if I'm a student and I'm interested in this workshop, how do I go about signing up for it or getting my agency to sign up for one?
Well, as any resource DAU offers, acquisition help is a phone call away or email away. This targeted training falls within DAU's mission assistance. One can locate support such as this and others by going to the description below on consulting services or the link.
Great. Thanks, John. Hey, we really appreciate you coming to the show today to discuss this workshop, WSC 032, the source selection simulation, also known as SSS. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks again for having me on the show. And again, we look forward to supporting the various needs of our DoD community in such ways as this.
Absolutely. Thanks again, John. Hey, folks, that's all the time we have for today. But please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Contracting Conversations channel. Type any comments below to include your questions for future discussions. And spread the word of this channel to your peers and to those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions. And we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.